Urie, host of Utah Business Spotlight, and I'm honored to be joined today by Mr. Steve Moore, Vice Chair, Board of Trustees at UCAT, and UCAT stands for?
The Utah College of Applied Technologies.
Very good. And the man of the hour, Mr. Shawn Owens, Student of the Year at UCAT. Steve, I just want to visit with you briefly because this is the guy that I really want to put my sights on today, and I know you do as well.
Absolutely.
But as the Vice Chair, tell me a little bit about how you became involved as a Board of Trustee member and what that position really means to you.
Well, it means a lot, absolutely. I was the chairman of the Ogden-Weber ATC, and because I was chairman of that board, that put me on the Board of Trustees for UCAT. And then when I saw what was going on at UCAT and its mission and everything that they're trying to do, the potential that is there, I wanted to get into the leadership and be able to spread that a little bit more.
And so set it up for our audience a little bit. There's Bridgerland, there's Dixie, there's Ogden, there's Weber. Tell us just a little bit about the makeup, the semantics of the applied technical colleges and how that works. Maybe how many students, how many business partners, how many campuses?
Well, we have 8 campuses located around the state, and you mentioned several of those, but ranging from northern Utah clear down to Dixie ATC down in St. George. And they're regional colleges, and they're set up so that they can to supply the needed skill sets for employers around the state. As you know, there's a great shortage right now of skilled employees to man and into the workforce the need that's there by the Utah employers. And the colleges are dedicated to the student, and they have a twofold mission. One is to serve the students and get them skill ready, certified. The other is to serve the employers in the state and to serve that need.
So you touched on a little bit of what I wanted to ask you next, and I'm coming to you, Mr. Owens. But what differentiates UCAT and from other institutions, whether it be Salt Lake Community College or the University of Utah, or what differentiates them?
I think it's response time. The UCAT colleges can go to an employer, see what the need is, and be able to respond to be able to fulfill that need and get certified employees into that within 30 or 60 days, whereas it takes other institutions maybe 1 or 2 years to be able to gear up and to fulfill the need.
Congratulations on your success.
Well, thank you.
Big fan.
Appreciate that, Sam.
Mr. Shawn Owens.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, but not as good as you.
Oh, I know about that.
Let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us just a brief summary, a little bit about Shawn Owens.
Sure. Happily married guy, homeowner with a dog, no kids quite yet. So.
Where are you from?
Originally from Southern California. Currently live in Clinton. Went to school out in Roy. Junior high, high school, Sandridge Junior High, and then Roy High School. But yeah, originally from Southern California.
And how did you make your way to Clinton, Utah from Southern California?
Oh yeah, family was in the Air Force, so Edwards Air Force Base is nearby. Hill Air Force Base came calling. We were originally going to live out here for 2 years, but the cost of living, as well as physical safety and opportunity really for the kids, my parents thinking, obviously not me. So stayed going to school out here, met a girl, settled down, that whole deal.
That happens.
So, yep. So this is now home.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Weber County is a great place.
Absolutely is. Love Weber Davis.
So tell me a little bit about Utah State. You started up in Logan, and then why the transition? Why to UCAT?
The transition. So I was Utah State ambassador there. So what I would do was I promoted education from Utah State. I would do the campus tours. That was what my job was there, and that was my scholarship. So I had a full ride scholarship to Utah State. And ultimately, and I couldn't even, there's no way that this would happen with the man I am today, but I ended up losing that scholarship because I didn't maintain my GPA high enough. And so I came to the realization that I was going to have to pay for school. And when that hit me as something to where, okay, you're going to have to pay for your education, you have to get loans, I had no idea what being a student meant. I had no idea what higher education cost was because it was all just given to me. It was all free. I didn't have to pay fees. I just got books. I didn't know what it meant to be a student. So once that became real and I realized, okay, $3,500 a semester plus books plus everything else, oh my gosh, what in the world did I do? And I didn't realize how great of an opportunity I had lost, and I had to figure out something to do with myself. You know, dating this really cool girl who was a soccer player at Weber State. How was I ever going to find a way to, you know, get out of my parents' basement now, you know, get a house, get a car? Shoot, I can't even afford the engagement ring. What in the world am I going to do?
Let me ask you, what did you do? You're living in a basement, you need
Correct.
to buy a ring.
Yep.
What did you do?
So how I stumbled across this was it was on MSN, and it was one of those Forbes articles to where it was the top 10 highest paying jobs that don't require a 4-year degree. And number 3 on that list was an inspector. And I kind of scratched my head and kind of like, what in the world is this? So anybody that inspects parts from airplanes, trains, cars, anything that, you know, if there's critical failure, there could be massive consequences, loss of life, loss of, you know, property, whatever, that is at stake. And these people pay quite a bit for these, you know, for these workers. So I started to do some searching to figure out where, you know, is there any way I could get involved in this? Is there any way I could stumble upon a job? And it just so happened that Ogden Weber Tech had started the non-destructive testing program 1 month before that article came out. So I decided to go for a tour, sign up for the classes, and found out that it was incredibly affordable because you only pay for the hours that you attend. I think the most I ever spent in a singular month, including getting the textbooks necessary, was like $205 in a month.
Wow, that's
that was
unique.
it. And there was, I didn't have to take out student loans. I didn't have to go into crazy amounts of debt. I didn't have to go into debt at all, period. And then once everything started to stabilize, once you figure out your class schedule, I think my average was $140 a month for 9 months going to class here. So when I found out that you could start, just very, very entry level, no experience, just having your NDI certificate, you could start out making $21 an hour. You could be around $42,000 a year starting with no experience. That blew my mind. And you can get to, just at Hill Air Force Base, it's much bigger commercially, but you could be a GS-13, which is, you know, $95,000 a year with nothing but this certificate and experience. Learning how to do this process.
Slinging burgers, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I just needed something that would, you know, drive my passion. And this was something that, you know, if this plane doesn't get inspected, if I don't do my job, if I don't bring my best every day to this, to my job, then if a plane crashes over a high metropolitan city, my name is on that piece of paper. So I better make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. And that gets me excited because I needed to stoke the competitive fire. I needed to be able to do something that was of great benefit to my surrounding community, great benefit to more than just myself, but why not get paid really well for it?
Very
so
good.
This checked off all those boxes, and I was like, let's go to school. Let's start going to work.
Steve, how did you and Shawn come into a friendship and a relationship? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the beauties of the UCAT colleges is really the employer advisory teams. We serve, as the UCAT colleges, we have literally hundreds of employer advisory teams that work directly with the colleges to give input as to what our needs are, and then the colleges actually respond to us, such as Shawn did as he looked into the NDI and the NTT and inspection. And having been the general manager of Barnes Aerospace up in the Ogden area for a number of years, we used the Ogden Weber and the Davis ATC exclusively to bring in our welders, our inspectors, our sheet metal mechanics, and various skilled labor. We use those as our pool of employees to come in. How we got to know Shawn is again, as he came up to be one of the candidates of the Student of the Year at the Ogden Weber College, we were able to interview each one of them to see what they've accomplished, what their goals were, what their vision was. And of course, as I mentioned before, Shawn was the guy that stood out at the Ogden Weber. And as the Ogden Weber Student of the Year, he went into competition with the Student of the Years of each of the other 8 campuses. And again, the Board of Trustees interviewed them along with some of the college presidents. And
I know what it's like to vet people for honors and recognition. What's the vetting process like for these students that are nominated or apply for this honor?
Well, each of them have to give a kind of a presentation as to who they are, what their vision is, and also then we ask them impromptu questions that's amongst a panel, basically. And it's a little intimidating for them to come in and face all these
You're smiling.
VIPs, I guess.
That's my favorite part of it. But
And be able to answer the questions, be able to present. So we see their presentation skills, what their background is, what they've accomplished, what their vision is in the future, and where they want to contribute to society and to the economy of Utah.
So it's not just anybody, it's the
not just
cream
anybody.
of the crop.
It is
then.
the cream of the crop, for sure.
So 2016 Student of the Year, Shawn Owens. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So Shawn, let's be guys here for a few minutes. Don't give me the politically correct answer.
You never get that from me anyway.
Okay. I want to know really what you hope to achieve, and I want to know really what you hope to achieve by being the Student of the Year. Is it a resume pack? What do you want from this?
So originally, yes, and I'm not ashamed to say this and present it, because I know that there's partner groups, and I don't believe in doing anything mediocre. I believe if you're going to do something, you do it to your best abilities, and I wanted to find something that would help me, make my resume look good. So to say that you're the Student of the Year of just Ogden-Weber Tech looks good. Student of the Year for the state of Utah looks even better. So originally that was the shtick, was I wanted to pack my resume. But the reason why I mentioned talking to the people was my favorite thing is because I'm very passionate about this particular subject, that I believe technical education is equally as important as university level education. And some people can't afford, either because family doesn't have a high enough income, they don't want to get student loans, whatever the case may be. Higher education, going to the universities, is a little bit more expensive and is a long-term investment. And especially for people who don't understand that, they need to find a way to make money and to make something valuable of themselves. So being able to go to an ATC, get a skill, to go and make some money, if you want to transition from technical education and now you have a job to where you can use it to go to a university, by all means do so. I know with NDI and Weber State from Ogden-Weber Tech, once you get your 900 hours, if you want to move up to Weber State and get your just an associate's degree in general applied technology, you can do so, and your 900 hours count towards that for Weber State. So if you want to use that, get an associate's degree, and then move on to, say, mechanical engineering technology, that is available to you by starting at the ATC.
That's one of the things that we're such advocates for, is to create those career and technical education pathways between K-12, UCAT, and higher ed, and also pathways for STEM between the three educational entities. And that enhanced collaboration can do so much for the state of Utah, the students, the employers, the economy.
Steve, it has been my pleasure to visit with you, and please accept my compliments as far as a board, what you're doing with your institution. Fantastic young man. If this is the caliber of people that the system is generating, kudos to you. So Steve, a good website if our audience wants to contact you.
Well, the website for the Utah College of Applied Technologies is ucat.edu, so ucat.edu.
And a phone number?
And a phone number that they could reach us very easily on the phone is 801-341-6000.
801-341-6000 or ucat.edu. Our guests today have been Steve Moore, Vice Chair, Board of Trustees for UCAT, and Mr. Shawn Owens, UCAT Student of the Year 2016.